Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are diving into a framework that completely shifts how we view our own existence. We're going to demystify the profound, intricate connection between the body, the mind, and the spirit. But more than just defining what those are, we're going to look at how these three elements actually have to interact to facilitate true healing. And this applies to everything from navigating the everyday illnesses and struggles of life, right up to the ultimate final transition of death. It is a deeply beautiful perspective, and honestly, it brings a ton of peace to some of our absolute greatest fears.
So, I want to pose a question to you. What actually happens when the physical vessel just stops, but the essence remains? Keep that tucked in the back of your mind today. We're going to follow a deeply personal journey through grief and illness found in our source material, and you'll see why dying might actually just be a dimensional shift, a massive transformation of energy, rather than some final, definitive ending. Think about how that entirely reframes the way we experience both loss and healing.
The source material grounds us with this really incredible quote. The body reaches an end, but form is not essence. Basically, your physical body is just a temporary anchor. It's the vessel we use to walk around in this world, but it is absolutely not the sum of who we are. Our source author realized this vividly while sitting right at the bedside of their brother Frank as he passed away. Watching that moment, it became profoundly clear to them. The body stopped, sure, but his essence, that was a completely different story. It was an undeniable confirmation that something far greater than physical form just continues on.
Let's dive right into Section 1, defining the triad of body, mind, and spirit. To truly wrap our heads around how the spirit operates, we have to look at the structure of our existence. Think of it as this deeply interconnected triad. First, you've got your body, which is grounded in the physical realm. That dictates your sensations, your movement, your physical health. Then there's the mind, centralized in the head, constantly buzzing and processing thoughts, beliefs, and those complex emotions. And finally, the spirit. That is rooted beautifully right in the heart center, holding our inner essence, our core purpose, and our deepest intuition. True wholeness, like really profound healing, is found right at the exact intersection of those three things.
I absolutely love this modern metaphor from the sources to help visualize it. Think of your body as a light bulb, and your mind as the complex wiring connecting everything together in the walls. The spirit? Well, that is the electricity itself. It's the core life force. The light bulb might eventually burn out, shatter, or just wear down over time. But that electrical current? It doesn't die. It can't. It just shifts, because it isn't made of physical matter. It's this indestructible essence that simply moves on when the vessel can no longer contain it.
Moving along to Section 2, finding your holistic balance.
Now, finding this balance in your everyday life, it definitely isn't a passive thing. It's a very active daily system. Think about your own typical day. You navigate your thoughts through planning and analyzing. You manage your emotions by noticing physical cues like, a tight chest or tense shoulders. And you practice just being through mindful awareness and taking deep breaths. These actions constantly feed into each other. When you actively harmonize your thinking, your emoting, and your being, you hit that perfect sweet spot of holistic balance. And that is where deep healing actually begins, while we are very much alive.
And that brings us to deep alignment. True, profound healing requires us to step into what the Source describes as the quiet, neutral space between the physical moment and the spiritual realm. Basically, it's pressing pause. Have you ever felt just totally overwhelmed by the physical world? It's in that specific, quiet gap where the noise of the world finally fades out, allowing us to form our true intentions and actually hear our own inner guidance. It takes practice for sure, but stepping into that gap is where real clarity happens.
But hold on, before you attempt any of that heavy spiritual lifting, you have to stop and ask yourself, what energy level are you at right now? This is such a vital checkpoint. If your physical vessel is currently fighting an illness, dealing with severe stress, or is just fundamentally exhausted, it simply does not have the bandwidth to support massive spiritual expansion. Actually, you literally can't skip steps here. The physical body has to rest and heal first before your mind and spirit can successfully grow alongside it. You have to honor those physical limits.
Okay, on to Section 3, the threshold of transition. So let's apply this entire framework to the ultimate threshold. When the source author was sitting with their brother Frank as he passed, they experienced something incredible. They literally felt the physical heat leave his body and return as this profound cold. This visceral physical moment highlighted a super stark contrast for them. The finite physical vessel simply stops, but the passenger, that eternal animating force, unburdens itself and just shifts dimensions. It's this incredibly powerful realization that the vessel is entirely separate from the passenger inside of it. Naturally, searching for answers about where that passenger went led the author to engage in shamanic journeys. But what's fascinating is that rather than using hallucinogens or pharmacology, they relied purely on rhythm, steady, driving drum beats, to enter an altered meditative state. In this deeply vulnerable space, they connected with a protective lion power animal. This allowed them to safely ground themselves and establish some serious emotional protection while they explored these new, unseen spiritual dimensions for answers.
The sources share this thought. Seeing is believing, knowing is feeling it. And wow, was this pursuit for direct knowing validated for the author. Frank's spirit actually manifested to them in a vision, and it completely defied all expectations. He didn't appear as some traditional, somber, transparent ghost. No, he was adorned in a vibrant, shimmering regalia of iridescent jewels, diamonds, rubies, emeralds, just radiating pure joy. It's a gorgeous reminder that authentic spiritual communication often comes through vividly when we're open to it, and usually in ways that completely surprise us.
Which brings us nicely to Section 4, Healing and Spiritual Empowerment.
Because once you truly understand this eternal energy, it naturally transforms how you approach end-of-life care for the people you love. Years later, the author used these exact spiritual tools to empower their terminally ill mother. They performed energy work to support her. And eventually this profound moment occurred. The author witnessed those spiritual animals leaving the mother's body and returning. It was the exact loving signal she needed. Her physical containment was ending, and it was simply time for a gentle, compassionate release.
Providing this kind of selfless spiritual support resulted in a passing that was accompanied by just perfect synchronicities. When she finally passed, classical strings were playing in the background, specifically Samuel Barber's Adagio for Strings, and the nurse attending to her just happened to be named Noelle. Being able to offer this kind of graceful spiritual empowerment left the author with this immense sense of absolute freedom and reciprocal grace, entirely replacing the heavy, lingering grief that we usually expect at the end of life.
And finally, Section 5, the anchor of unconditional love.
You are deeply and unconditionally loved, and I deserve to live a joyous life aligned with my highest potential. We've explored the physical vessel, the internal journey, and the dimensional threshold today. But the ultimate truth that underpins this entire explainer is so simple. You are deeply and unconditionally loved. Recognizing that we're constantly surrounded by unseen, supportive guardian energies strips away our internal armor. Whether you're dealing with chronic pain, past dysfunction, or immense grief right now, love is the absolute, indestructible anchor of your existence.
So, as you go about your day today, I really want you to chew on this final question. How is the spirit moving through you right now? Take a moment today to honor the physical vessel you inhabit. Give it the rest, the nourishment, and the healing it demands, while also constantly nurturing that incredible, indestructible energy that makes you exactly who you are. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring.